My dear children, once again, good morning to all. So, our last chapter, can you remember the name of our first chapter? Yes, the earth are whole. So, no, the name of our chapter was earth are whole. In that chapter, we were dealing with a lot of points. So, today we are moving with our second chapter, latitudes and longitudes. We are dealing with our second chapter, latitudes and longitudes. My dear children, the imaginary line drawn on a map or a globe horizontally and vertically are known as latitudes and longitudes. So my dear children, listen carefully. The imaginary line drawn on a map or a globe horizontally and vertically, these are known as latitudes and longitudes. Latitudes means horizontal line. This is horizontal. This line is horizontal. And longitude, like the term longitude, these lines are long. Longitude means lines are long. That longitude means like this, straight down. While we are doing maths and all with the help of scale, we will be drawing margin. Is it? Long line. Is it? That long line is known as longitude, and that is long line. Otherwise, vertical line is known as longitude, and the horizontal line is known as latitudes. And my dear children, latitudes, when we say about latitudes, the unit for measuring latitude is degree. Degree, that is, this is the symbol of degree. This is degree. Listen carefully. The unit for measuring, that is latitude, is degree. And then the next point is that we have to deal with our latitude, longitude, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, and all the things. So listen carefully. Can you see this picture? Can you see this picture? Okay. The center line is known as equator. The center line is known as equator, and one line parallel to this line. Can you see this parallel? Can you see? So this is equator, and this is northern hemisphere, and this is southern hemisphere. And my dear children, the area between the equator and the north pole, that is, the area between the equator and this north pole is known as northern hemisphere. And the area between the equator and the south pole is known as southern hemisphere. The area between this gap between this equator and this northern pole is known as northern hemisphere, and the equator and the south pole is known as southern hemisphere. And other than that, the line drawn parallel to the equator. Can you see this line? The line drawn parallel to the equator up to the poles. Up to the poles means north pole and south pole. Up to the poles, they are known as parallels of latitude. That line parallel to the poles is known as parallels of latitude. So my dear children, here take your textbook. If those who have a textbook, take your textbook. Can you see the picture? Globes picture is given here. Then like that, the second picture is drawn like this. That is one horizontal line. It is equator. dividing the earth into two hemisphere, and the up is not northern hemisphere, down is known as southern hemisphere. And my dear children, the next thing is that the equator and the parallels of latitudes are circular since the earth is round. Earth is round. We all know that the earth is round. So, these parallels of latitudes, are also in the equator, and the parallels of latitudes are also circular. And the next thing is that while we are writing the degree, if you are writing 90 degree north, if we want to write 90 degree north, how we will write 90. Here upsides 10, then capital letter N. How we will indicate 1 degree? If we want to write 90 degree north, otherwise 20 degree south, how we will write? First we have to write the number. If it is 90, we are writing the number first. Then upside we are putting 10. It is a symbol of degree. Then we have to use the capital letter. We have to use only the capital letter. So my dear children, before winding the class once again, we were discussing about our second chapter, latitudes and longitudes. Latitudes are horizontal lines, whereas longitudes are long. They are vertical lines. And I told you, imaginary line drawn on a map or a globe horizontally and vertically are known as longitudes and latitudes. Then we were saying about equator cutting into two halves, upside northern hemisphere, downside southern hemisphere, area between the equator and the north pole, northern hemisphere, area between the equator and south pole is known as southern hemisphere, and equator and parallels of latitudes are circular. Why? Because earth is round, and the unit for measuring latitude is degree. And while we are writing the degree, we have to write first the number, then upside degree symbol, then capital letter north. Then we were saying about parallels of, there are parallels of latitudes also. That is, the line drawn parallel to the equator to the poles are known as parallels of latitudes. So my dear children, you have to go through the textbook, and after the video I will be giving the notes. Okay, may God bless you. Thank you.